would like to add two observations. One is approaching this situation from if you approach the situation from a perspective, okay, what does it take to regenerate the economy, right? So the first thing that I noticed, looking and listening to that, is a whole bunch of non-economic factors, that we just heard being described, right? It's the winter, the town hall meetings, Hardwick, the bookstore, the funky video store, the university, right, that we talked about. I mean, a lot of factors coming in, providing an whole ecosystem of, and then in addition to the more traditional economic, like finance and the coaching, all the other things, so that's the first observations. Those are important ingredients of this soup. And the other one is what really going through this day and listening, what really strikes me most is the sense of, it's almost, I would say the delight I have listening to you guys as a new generation of, entrepreneurship with a vision, right? Building something, creating not creating social change, not by complaining, not by, talking about what other people should do or aren't doing, but by creating a different world. And having an identity that is shaped around helping each other, because as you say, we are all in this same story, and we help each other with the financing, with the coaching, with the leadership issues, and the kind of support infrastructures that you have developed amongst yourself. So that, for me, as an external, actually is the most interesting, because that is, so if we could learn more about how to unleash, how to tap into that, it's not just a normal entrepreneurial capacity. It's like a hybrid entrepreneurial, which is on the one hand building a business, but on the other hand contributing to that ecosystem that we all are part, and being a co-shaper and co-creator of that as well. So I think that is something that instantly is inspiring for a visitor coming in here for a few hours, and then you can almost feel that. That's a force. That's something that keeps this field going. So I don't know. What is your view on that aspect of your own story, and what is it that you learned? Because we try to do that in many places, but it's very difficult sometimes. So what is it that you learn that helps you to keep that alive, to nurture that, to keep that connection going?
Well, I'd say one of the things when I was in DC, I think that our strong connection to agriculture and this where we live is a big part of that. When I was in DC, I worked on a lot of federal policy on agriculture. We saw how that federal policy was really missing the entire future of Vermont, that I felt strongly about, and then how things were done at such a different level that really didn't impact local. And at the same time, what was actually happening at the state level from our leaders at the state to make progress and do things. So what was interesting for me in coming back and working with all these guys is that, we can actually, by just coming back and doing it, we don't have to wait for someone to say from the federal policy or the state that you can't do it or you shouldn't do it. Because if you really analyze what we're doing, for us to grow soybeans in Vermont, we're told that you can't grow soybeans in Vermont. So why would you do a soy plant in Vermont? Or start a new, technology company like Vermont Petroleum in Vermont? And then what types of policies can support that are all basically established at the corporate level or the commodity agriculture level. So what was really fun about here is coming back and watch these guys blast a hole in the ground for 6 months to do something that you gotta be kidding me. And Tom to fight USDA and create an organic seed company. To really approve that organic seed at that level can do it. And everybody, Tom Stearns, and then you throw in Heartbeat and see what they're doing, and then having you've got all these examples around this anyways, with what Dave Marvin's been able to do for a lifetime of growing his own farm. That's the fun part, is that you don't have to ask anybody any questions when you're around these guys. I don't think we've ever had the word can't come up in one of our conversations. It's you're crazy. But and the more you throw that out, the more it inspires people to do it. So, because if we were waiting for some approval from the federal government or the state government or a bank.
Vermont as a whole is one of the last states that I think still functions on a human scale. The towns are small. This is the most rural state in the country. Rural is defined as the percentage of its population that lives in towns under 2,000. And so there's 251 towns in the state. The biggest is 45,000. And that's Burlington. So Hardwick is an example of a place where, well, for example, if my seed company was in Burlington, we would be lost. No matter how many cool things we were doing, no matter how involved in the community we are, we would simply be watered down by the scale of what's already exists there. And that's just in a town of 40,000, that are really our only city. And by virtue of being in a small and more rural community, and by there being so many of us, and now that it's growing and that we are employing so many, there becomes a pretty high percentage of the population that is either an owner, an employee, or a customer.